Welcome. What is up? Welcome to the Mixer. I am your host, RC. I will be joined shortly here by my co-host, Jeff. How's everybody doing today? I'm doing pretty good. Let's get through some housekeeping. First, don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast on all podcast feeds, iTunes, Spotify with Joe Rogan, and Google Podcasts, some of the popular ones, but pretty much everywhere it's shared. I don't know how. It's something to do with the cloud, but Big Sim's got it out there. Every now and then I dig into the stats and I'm like, I don't even know what that pod feed is. I do not know how our pod is out there on that pod feed, but we get downloads from it. So who am I to ask? We are on YouTube. It's the Mixer channel. You can see our lovely setup. Using a new recording service, so the quality should be a little bit better. The images and hopefully the audio. That's how you get in touch with us, and at FC Wine Mixer on all the social channels. Again, I recommend Twitter. If you're not on Twitter and you like sports, you're doing sports wrong. Yeah, that would be my recommendation. So, now that the fun stuff is out of the way, tilts, my favorite part. I got a laundry list today. I'm kind of glad that Jeff has, I have sole control of the microphone at the moment. Number one, again, we're adjusting, we're learning, we're adapting. Listen back to the last show. Apparently, I'm a heavy breather. So, need to utilize the mic button when I'm listening, or just not freaking get all breathy and sound like a phone sex operator on the mic. So, apologies for that if that annoyed you. Next thing, raw versus retail. I mean, this is going to be a regular no matter what. Nothing irks me more than just poor positioning, right? You don't want to be at a place on the field, and it's similar in the retail environment. There is an etiquette. Do not get in my bubble. Stay in the designated areas. If you're looking at something, do not park your cart in front of shit that is highly trafficked. I don't want to see you pull up your shopping cart and block off all the 2% milk or the salad rack, the entire salad rack. I was at my local grocery store, and it's a smaller one. And due to COVID, they have a new setup where you kind of line up like you do in Walmart for the, not that I've been in a Walmart in forever, but I mean, I guess some stores just have it where it's roped off, it's one line, and then when the check stand's ready, you get the little notice that, go to check stand 6 or whatever. So they got and it's a small one, so they have everybody lined up down the frozen food aisle. So I go down the frozen food aisle. There's a dude sitting there looking at his phone, of course, towards the end of the line. So I have to get all close to him, breathe his COVID air. I mean, we were masked up, but you know what I mean. I get in that bubble and I say, "Hey, dude, you in line?" It's like, no, I'm not in line. I'm like, what? You're standing like 4 feet from the end of the line. Like, situational awareness, my man. You're not supposed to be in this spot. It's confusing people. So yeah, I mean, flag on the play. Anyway, so that tilted me. We're doing raw versus retail, Jeff. And by the way, welcome in, my dude. So I got 2 tilts out of the way: my heavy breathing and how people do not know how to position themselves in the grocery store or just the retail environment, and how that tilts me. I got a few more, my dude. Do you have any tilts before I get into the rest of them?
Yeah, so I have one tilt. It has to do with NBA Top Shot. So you and I have talked about this. I'm a huge fan of NFTs. Obviously, I don't know the end goal with NFTs. Like, I don't know where they go in 10 years, 20 years, even the next 5, right? I think a lot of them are going to burn out and not really be anything. But I do think NBA Top Shot, the fact that they are like licensed moments, is huge. I have one big tilt with them, and that's the fact that there are requirements to get into certain drops. Like, if you really want this thing to become a big presence in the sports world and to possibly take the place of trading cards, it's got to be available to everyone, right? Like, you can't require people to go out and spend $200 to get enough moments to then buy a $150 pack, right? That theoretically wasn't even worth the $150. I saw that breakdown too, that they based it off of like the moments that were involved and included and stuff, and they said the average pack value was like 130, but you had to pay 150 for the pack. To me, not a great look. And I don't mind the special packs here and there. I think requiring things for certain packs is probably a plus. But like right now, I really feel like they should be building their brand more. Like right now, they're still extremely niche, right? It's a very small subsection of people in the world that actually even know what NBA Top Shot is. And it's an even smaller group of people that are involved in it. So that's just really my tilt. Obviously, I was not qualified for the pack drop. Even though I have 4 moments, well, now I have 3. I sold a moment. But I just think, making people be qualified for pack drops is a negative EV play by the NBA Top Shot team.
Yeah, the boys at Dapper are still trying to get that situated. I think some of it is they're trying to maintain that exclusivity that kind of saw them get a lot of pub when it started to get in the mainstream. I feel you there, man. I missed out on a legendary pack requirement because you had to own like 15 moments, and I think I owned 12, and I could have just went in and bought like 3 more $5 moments
Right.
to qualify. I did qualify for this one though, so I'm gonna one up your tilt, my dude. So I qualified for this one, and I had heard that it was minus EV, which I wasn't stoked about, but I'm ready to roll the dice. You do qualify for certain pack drops if you just have one rare. So I was like, well, even if I don't get a rare, I can just hold on to that and hopefully qualify for future drops and maybe hit the jackpot. But anyway, I was in the queue. I queued up, and I think they said they had 78,000 packs available that they were going to distribute. They held like 3,000 or something, so there was a total of 81,000, and I queued up, and I think I was 86,000th in line, and I was like, oh man. And I had heard that a lot of people were just going to pass on it because they just weren't interested in the pack based on
Yeah.
just the negative expected value, like you said. And so I was like, oh man, I got a shot. Like, it's going to be close, but I got a shot. And so I was, it being a wonderful father, taking my daughter for a walk, refreshing my phone, like, where am I at in line? Where am I at in line? And the other more tilting thing was that the remaining pack numbers wasn't updating as frequent as your position in line. So you had to like check the time, and it said, there are 20,000 packs available. You are 15,000th in line, but then you look at the time and it's like, well, the number available hasn't been updated for a half hour. So,
Right.
anyway, so finally, it gets to the point where there's like 50 packs left, and it says I'm 1,000th in line. And, with the shenanigans of how it was updating both numbers, I thought there was a chance that I was going to get the last one. And then all of a sudden it said resuming the queue, and it said you're 100th in line, you're 50th in line, you're up. And I was like, yes. And then I look at it, and it's for the rebound pack, the base set. So, so yeah, I missed it by about 1,000, which is pretty close. So thanks, Big Sim, for that.
Yeah.
Speaking, go ahead.
sorry to cut you off. I think NBA Top Shot is great. I want to go back to the exclusivity thing though. I think the way they stay exclusive is by making these pack drops and the lines a lottery, essentially, and just limiting the amount of packs, right? I think doing exclusivity by requiring people to already be invested in the product turns new people off, my opinion. But yeah, I mean, also your story being in the last 1,000 sucks. That is not a fun spot to be to not get a pack.
I agree, man. It was very tilting. I had to refrain from losing my shit. Or, nah, I mean, not really. I was just bummed. But anyway, yeah. The next pack. We got this next pack. I'm starting to get better moments, which I'm stoked about. So, yeah. Come on, Big Sim. Hook it up. But speaking of Big Sim, that's my next tilt, my dude. So I watched The Matrix for the first time. Must have been like 10 years at least. Number one, damn, that movie stands up. The action, I mean, so ahead of its time. So props to that. But I had forgotten about this one part at the start of the movie where Neo gets the message on his phone or on his on his freaking Apple One. His basic ass freaking CR. What is that? The CR tube monitor. It wasn't even a flat screen monitor that says "Follow the White Rabbit," and I was like, what? And I mean, clearly the Alice in Wonderland reference, but I do not remember that. And I mean, in our inner circle, I have developed this meme culture around this random white rabbit that sits on the porch of one of my neighbors. It's just a life. I mean, I guess it's more than a life size. It's a human size rabbit, white rabbit on the porch, just sitting there like a psychopath. Sometimes they put makeup on it and they dress it up for different holidays, but not gonna lie, dude, I got goosebumps a little bit when I saw that. What? You're on mute.
It happens, man. You know, the Matrix stands up for a lot of reasons, like you said, but one of the main ones is they incorporated things like that, right? Like follow the white rabbit. And there's really no mention of it again in the movie, if I remember correctly. Just that one line.
Well,
It's like for that moment, right?
Yeah, the woman, they come up and they sell he sells like some sort of disc. He's some sort of freaking cypher punk or whatever. And, he goes out to this rave with this couple. And I mean, she had a white rabbit tattoo. And so he's like, yeah, I'll go. By the way, bro, what was it a requirement of 90s movies to have like a goth rave scene? I see so many, and like as an adult, I mean, I've hung out with some interesting people. Never once heard of or seen a goth rave. Was that a thing in the 90s we just missed out on?
I think we were just a little too young for that at the time.
Dude, I want to go to a goth rave. They were playing Godsmack, like Prodigy. Why not, man? Like, throw on the freaking leather, the black, the combat boots. I'm down.
Yeah.
All right. And then damn, man, I have a lot of tilts. I mean, they're worth it. So, I guess this is another branch of Rob versus retail. I'm calling it Supplymegaddon. You have those like 3-month, 6-month items that you run out of, and usually it's on a rotation, dude. I mean, everything's at once, man. I'm running out of avocado oil, sesame oil, and olive oil all at once, and oil is not cheap, and I can't go back to cooking without specialty oils. And I'm running out of like Costco paper towels, the jumbo size Costco toilet paper. The baby needs diapers every month, so that's a recurring thing. But yeah, man, it's gonna hit me hard.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things. We run into it here every once in a while where we're getting kind of low on the olive oil, and we go to the grocery store, and sometimes we'll be like halfway through a bottle, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should get another bottle just so we don't have to worry about this kind of thing. And then I look, and the bigger size bottles that last a while, you're looking like $20, $25 sometimes, and I'm just like, not trying to spend this on something I don't absolutely need right now.
Especially in this economy with inflation the way it
I
is.
know.
How am I going to have money to stack sats with Bitcoin? How am I going to have money to purchase gifts and other assorted NFTs when avocado oil is inflating 7% year over year, and apparently we're going to run out of gas, but that's another issue. um my last thing, and this will transition us into sports finally, thank you for sticking around through my complaints and journey through life, um is boomer sports takes. I don't know when this happened, but I've found myself on the receiving end of kind of analysis that I feel is stuck in the past. Last night, I got into it with a guy about RBIs. Jeff, what do you think about RBIs as a stat, as a measure of a player's performance?
I I mean, I can give you I'll give you my view on RBIs now is that an RBI is almost worthless in terms of like telling you what a player actually does. Um, because it's all situational dependent. And even if you did the same thing in the same situation, it doesn't always lead to the same result, right? Like if a guy's on second and I hit a ball to the outfield, sometimes it's an RBI, sometimes it's not, right? So it's very contextual. Um, I don't think RBIs are completely worthless the way like pitcher wins are in baseball, but I think they're pretty close. So that's my view. Although my view growing up was in RBIs were almost better than home runs because they told you could produce RBIs even if you weren't producing home runs. But
Yeah,
that's my view now. So
I feel we agree too much too often. We're going to need a third guy eventually to be the Stephen A. But yeah, my man, I pretty much made the same point. It's it's situational. It's dependent on where you bat in the lineup. Like a guy like, I mean, leadoff hitters, Tatis, for instance, he bats leadoff often, and obviously nobody's on base when he starts the game, and then when the lineup shuffles through the second time, he's got the pitcher and the catcher. So, you know, he's either batting with multiple outs and like one guy on, and he might not see the best pitches. And I mean, there's just a lot of factors in it. And I mean, I just got the same take, man. It's not completely useless, but it's not indicative of a player's performance. The guy that I got in the debate with said that, well, it's a triple crown stat. And I'm like, dude, the triple crown is a thing that capital J's came up with in the 20s so they would have something to write about to get people interested in baseball.
yeah, I mean, there's to give a little reference in terms of what people care about in baseball now. There's a 33% chance that you lead a crown category that a major league team actually cares about it, and that's only if you lead in home runs. Um, Even batting average, while batting average would be, if you led the league at like 360 and the next closest is at like 310, yeah, that's probably going to make some headlines, right? But if you're just leading the league at like 310, 311, nobody really cares about that. They care so much more about OPS now, which for people that don't know is on base plus slugging. Um, because on base takes into account walks, whereas batting average only takes into account hits, right? So even on base percentage is better than regular batting average. So yeah, I mean to cite triple because it's a triple crown category as it mattering is really kind of funny.
I must reach these kids, my dude. What about, how do you feel about bullpen days It's all the rage. It's a hot item of debate. I want to hear your take.
I think this really varies by team, but I am a I would say I'm probably, with the way baseball is set up, a big fan of bullpen days. Because realistically, most teams don't have five real starters. Um, Obviously, you have five starters, but most teams don't have five starters who are going to go 6+ innings to save your bullpen. So sometimes, if you've had a couple of days in a row where your team got shelled or something, you're starting it, make it through, or a starter gets injured. Right, bullpen days can be great. You throw guys out there 2 or 3 innings at a time, and just go, and you kind of aren't expecting to win games like that usually. But you can also surprisingly win because a lot of times when these guys are pitching on their bullpen days, they can go 100%, and you're only facing a lineup once, right? You're not having to worry about facing a lineup 2 or 3 times as a starter. You're going to get 2 or 3 innings. You face each guy one time, and then you're out. So you throw your best stuff every single time. So uh, while I think that bullpen days are probably bad for baseball in the long run because it means you have a lot of pitchers on your team, right? Which there's other reasons that's probably a bad thing for baseball in the long run. But I think bullpen days for how baseball is set up now are kind of awesome.
Yeah. Similar, same page again. I get that you want your starter to go out there. And the reason why this came up was because the Padres had a bullpen day yesterday, essentially. They trotted out Lamet, who's still trying to ease back in to a full workload, which is a conversation of its own. And anyway, it was suggested that maybe the bullpen midday should have been on the doubleheader instead of in a 9-game inning. And the Padres went out yesterday. Lamet gave up 1 run in the first inning on a walk, a stolen base, and then a single. And the guy scored from second because he might be the fastest kid alive. He flew around. And then Lamet pitched the second, and then I think Weathers came in and he pitched a few, and Tim Hill, I love Tim Hill. That was another thing. Somebody it was dragging me for saying Tim Hill's low-key my favorite Padre. Because, Jeff, do you think you'd be able to pitch looking like you were on meth? Or because, the guy looks like he's straight out of a lakeside liquor store parking lot.
Yeah, I definitely don't think I could pitch like that.
Can we confirm that's rosin all over his jersey? His delivery too. Anyway, he got that DP ball against the Dodgers. So and he's pitched in some difficult spots and gotten through. Yeah, he's given up some runs, but anyway, big fan. And yeah, I think bullpen days are fine. You have a goal. It's to get outs by pitchers. It's to not, to utilize your pitchers in a way so that they are fresh. And the best way to do that is to spread out the innings, really. And if you bring in bullpen guys, not to mention getting them more experience on the mound, will pay off later in the season just because they've had more reps, and then you're keeping your starters fresh. It's a 162 game season. It's not a 60 game season. I got no problem with it, but more and more people I just see on Twitter a lot. People are complaining when, obviously you want more out of Snell. That's another story where he can only get through like 4 or 5 innings. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on bullpen days and dealing with those boomer takes. They just think every starter should, throw 120 pitches, give up 5 or 6 runs, and go at least 7 innings.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what every starter should do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's
Every
get
starter
in.
should be Cy Young.
Yeah, exactly. Or Nolan Ryan. All right, let's get into the formal discussion. So, the Padres are back somewhat. We had Tatis and Cronenworth in the last game, the homestand, or no, it was in San Francisco. They hit some long bombs back to back. The Dodgers are falling apart. I saw something the other day that they started the season. Um, what was it, like 15-5
13
or
and 2.
was it 13-2? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty remarkable. And then they're like 5-10 since then, or maybe even worse. Maybe it's like five and
I think
15.
it's 5 and 15.
Yeah,
I think because they're 18 and 17, I believe. So I think they started 13 and 2 and then have gone 5 and 15 since.
and the transition from their flying start to this crash down was the Padres season. Do you think? I mean, I'm driving on narrative street here, but do you think the Padres broke their at least early season spirits?
Um, I mean, I'm sure losing that series to the Padres or whatever probably didn't help, but um, Bellinger hasn't played in a while. I believe he's big for them, whether it's playing center field or being kind of a tone setter at the plate. But the Dodgers have just kind of been, you really, they've either been good pitching or good hitting, and they just haven't lined it up yet, or really since their 13 and 2 start. And I think that's the bigger issue. It's not like one isn't working or one, it's just they haven't been in sync. We see this happen to teams all the time. I think what's really surprising is the expectations they came in with. Everyone expected the Dodgers to win 100 plus games. I think they were projected by Vegas to win like 104 or something like that, the highest total ever, I believe. Um, I'm not worried about them. They have enough talent. It's a long season. They're still over 500 considering how bad they've been recently. But I do think for them, they need to start figuring things out. But they've still got plenty of time. And now they've been there, right? They've been to World Series before, but they won it last year. I don't think there's the pressure that there would be had they not won the World Series last year.
Yeah. So lot of season to go. The Dodgers have had some injuries. I'm with you. But that's the narrative I want to preach. We're in their head. The Padres are in the Dodgers' head. They have their Mickey Mouse title. Good luck catching up. The Giants are our rivals, not the Dodgers. Let's focus on the true rival here, the Giants. That article had it right, but it wasn't. I think it was Plaschke that wrote that freaking guy. Yeah, it's the Padres Giants. You got that Bruce Bochy connection.
Yeah.
So yeah. Alrighty. Next topic, we had the Formula One race over the weekend, Spanish Grand Prix. This is the track where the teams do a lot of their testing. So, yeah, a lot of familiarity. It's not always the best race. I think there was a stat that out of the last like 20 races, all but 2 or 3 have been won from the front row, so either first or second. The exciting part of this race was the very start. Verstappen got off to a great start. Hamilton was on the radio prior to the race saying there's a lot of rubber down on Max's side, hinting that he was worried Verstappen was going to get a good start, and sure enough, he did. Not a historically great at the drop of the lights. Verstappen, he takes the lead, controlled his race, ran a one-stop pit strategy. Lewis built up a gap enough to to fourth place, which I believe was Perez at the time, where he could pick and come out in third behind his teammate who would, in theory, let him by, which he didn't exactly move out of the way. So Hamilton on fresh tires, after he was eventually let by Bottas, caught Max with about 6 laps left, got around him pretty easily. I mean, still a great pass, but it was all but determined and took his win. It was Hamilton's 100th pole. He's got a pretty solid grip on the title so far. Jeff, what are your thoughts on the Spanish Grand Prix?
Yeah, so it wasn't the most exciting race, as you said. Watching it, I don't remember watching this race last year, but it seems like a pretty boring track. There's only like really 2 spots to pass, it seemed like. It didn't seem like you could get close enough in a lot of other spots on the track. So it was pretty predictable when people were going to try to pass, and it didn't seem like you really could a whole lot. But I think a couple of things that came out of the race: Valtteri not letting Lewis by right away. There's clearly, Valtteri's talked about it in interviews. He wants to be more selfish this year, and less team oriented, I think. And you could see that on Sunday with him not letting Lewis pass right away. The problem was that Valtteri wasn't gaining any ground on Verstappen, so there was no reason for him. Lewis was just so much faster than both of them. There was no need to have that little fight. It did cost Lewis, I believe, on that lap. He was actually slower than Max on that lap, where he'd been a second and a half, 2 seconds faster. Obviously Lewis catches up and it doesn't actually hurt anyone, but it could have, and that's the issue. The other thing, I didn't see the start of the race right away. I saw highlights of it afterwards, and listening to some racing journalists talk about the start of the race, Max got a little reckless, it seemed like, from a lot of people's perspectives, in his initial pass of Lewis going down into turn 1 or whatever. And Lewis is really the reason Max and Lewis were able to finish the race and end up in first and second, because Lewis backed off. And a lot of the journalists hinted that Lewis would have been in the right to continue to fight for the position because Max was kind of coming from behind. But Lewis saw it, and obviously you're on the first lap of a 66 lap race. You can't win it there, right? But you could definitely lose. And there was no reason not to get any points, which I think is why Lewis backed off. But we've talked about Max before, and I've said Max is actually growing on me, but it's moves like that and things that he's done in other races that are kind of, I think, why he's not in the lead right now. Moves like that are awesome, but if he's going up against someone different, what if he's going up against someone younger, like a George Russell? I don't think George Russell's giving him that spot. So then if George tries to fight that, or whoever tried to fight that, they're both likely out of the race because someone's trying to grab first right away. So that's the only real critical thing I would say, from what I've seen. I thought Mercedes probably pulled off the best strategical move I've seen in Formula One, by just undercutting Red Bull, right? I think Red Bull thought that Mercedes was going to try to do a one stop, considering Hamilton pitted on lap 28 or 29. And they undercut, put Hamilton on better tires, and it paid off. And Red Bull clearly wasn't ready for it because they didn't bring Verstappen in at all until he had lost the race. And to go with that, when Max pitted his first pit stop, I believe he wasn't called in, if I'm remembering the race right. He just kind of showed up, and his first pit stop took twice as long as a normal Red Bull pit stop. I believe it took 4.5 or 5 seconds versus their normal 2.5 second pit stop. So, a few things there, but overall, I enjoyed the race. I thought, the middle of the pack cars were a lot of fun. That fight for 10 towards the end of the race, that I think Gasly ended up winning. but it included everyone down to George Russell, who I think ended up in 14th. I believe all 5 of those cars were fighting for 10th at some point on the last few laps. And that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll have to check on the. I don't remember the pit stop for Max being long, but you made a lot of good points about the. I mean, just Mercedes. I'm curious how much. I mean, I guess the teams have all these contingency plans, so I'm curious how much of it was, something that they had thought of beforehand, or if they just saw, hey, we got fourth covered. There's no, there's no penalty really to not pit. So let's just do it and see what happens. And how much of it was, them actually being like, all right, this is how we get them and being aggressive. But yeah, I mean, and a lot of the criticism of Verstappen, unfortunately, Hamilton had the same criticisms at the start of his career. So it's just a matter of if he can get it under control. There have been drivers in the past who have had that aggressive trait. But then like you said, Hamilton being the grizzled vet, letting Verstappen go around, both of them continue the race and playing the long game and getting them at the end. That's something that Verstappen doesn't have that maturity yet. A lot of guys on the grid don't. There are some younger drivers that do. But anyway, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out for the rest of the season. I mean, it's going to happen at some point. That aggression by Max is going to bite him, and hopefully it's not against his teammate. Hopefully it's not. I mean, the next race is Monaco, where you cannot pass.
Right.
We'll see. It's supposed to be a track that is well suited for Red Bull. We'll see how it goes. I'm pumped for Monaco.
So real quick, just so everyone knows, Max's pit stop on lap 60, which was his second pit, was 21.5 seconds. That's total pit time, right? From the time you enter pit lane till the time you leave. His pit stop on lap 24 was 2 seconds slower. It was 23.56. So Red Bull clearly wasn't either 100% ready for him on that first one, or because they never mess up pit stops like that. They are probably the best team in the pits of any Formula One team.
Yeah, they're on point with their stops for sure. So yeah, and then just some other notes on the race here. We had Valtteri, Mr. Irrelevant, finish third for the brand, and we had a Ferrari in fourth, which is great to see. Charles Leclerc finishing fourth. Sergio Perez still finding his grips. He finished fifth for Red Bull. We had Daniel Ricciardo finish sixth, the first McLaren. Ferrari and Spanish men. Carlos Sainz got seventh, followed by the other McLaren and Lando Norris. This is, I keep saying it, this is the battle of the year. It's Ferrari versus McLaren for third. I've been a huge Ferrari fan throughout the 90s and early aughts. And I mean, maybe even into, the teens? I guess maybe not so much in the tens, the tens decade, whatever we call it. We need a catchy way to reference that decade. I mean, now we got the 20s. We don't got to worry about it for freaking 80 more years.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, those McLaren Ferrari battles were, I mean, that's what I built my Formula One fan base on, really. So, I'm amped that these guys are going head to head again. For a while, it was McLaren that kind of fell off, and then Ferrari fell off even further past McLaren, who still is not back at the top where they were. So, yeah, man, I'm stoked. I really like all the drivers too. I like Leclerc. I like Sainz. I like Lando. I love Ricciardo. So, I'm excited. I would love, I mean, they're talking about doing qualifying races and stuff. How about we do like a mid pack grid race for, for style points or something? Like
That'd
just,
be fun.
yeah, I mean, just take the big guys out, let them rest. Bullpen day. Bullpen day. We'll have the middle of the grid fight it out. We just fixed Formula One, dude. I mean, we've been potting about Formula One for 2 years, and we just fixed it. Bullpen
I'm
day,
with you.
Formula One, Liberty Media. Come on, U.S. I mean, we're wrecking European soccer. Like, why not Formula One?
You know what would be a fun idea in Formula One is at the end of the year, just for fun, each driver gets randomly put into a car from a different team, and then they have a race.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I can imagine the contracts on that, but yeah, or just like blind taste test, just black liveries all around, and yeah, choose your own adventure, and yeah, and nobody knows until at the end of the race, and
Yeah,
yeah, you can place bets on which drivers in which car. I don't know, man.
that'd be a lot of fun.
Let's do it. I mean, at least we can sim it. All right. So I mean, that wraps up the Spanish Grand Prix. We're kind of getting into, now that the NFL draft is gone, which I mean, NFL is kind of our primary focus. I might want to do like an early off season now that the draft is done, underdog draft. We'll see about that though. But I mean, we got a lot of, kind of the second tier of sports lined up, and I'm pumped for it. We got Chelsea in the Champions League final with Pulisic. That's at the end of the month. We have the Olympics this summer. Are you a big Olympics guy or not so much?
It really depends on the event. I love the track and field stuff at the Olympics. That's probably my favorite, to be completely honest. But that's really Olympics wise. I'll watch it, but that's my favorite Olympic sport.
Yeah, and most of the events should be daytime since it's in Japan, or maybe even early morning. So should be able to catch a lot of it, which I'm excited for. There's the soccer tournament the U.S. is not in, but still be interesting to watch. Obviously, the sprints are great. I'm a big fan of the pool events, so we might get some kind of off the beaten path coverage of that, but I'm pumped for that. Already mentioned the Champions League final. I mean, who you got? Chelsea City.
City just won the title, the Premier League title, I believe. So I'm going to take them. I just think they're better, but I would love to see Pulisic win and hold up that trophy.
Yeah. Obviously, that's the way to go. My heart, I mean, it still feels super dirty rooting for Chelsea, but he had the goal in the first leg of the semis, and then a really patient, mature assist in the second leg. So yeah, let's do it, man. Let's get an American. I mean, and am I off base saying that he's kind of the best player on their team, or am I just are my
I mean, he may not be the best player, but in my opinion, he's the most impactful. He's around the ball all the time. He seems to be involved in almost every goal somehow, whether he's scoring it, assisting it, or he made the pass to the assist kind of thing. He just seems to be a very impactful kind of player. Now, he may not be the most skillful, obviously, although he is extremely skilled, right? But he, I think I'm with you. I'm going to go with he's the best player on Chelsea.
So in the 1920s, the capital J's came up with the Triple Crown for baseball. Me, the progressive that I am, and medium case Jay here with our podcast, have been a champion of a new trifecta stat. I call it the Pulisic Hat Trick. It's a goal, an assist, and a drawn PK. because you're right, man. That guy is always on the ball in the box, and I've seen him draw all kinds of PKs. He doesn't always take them, but sometimes he does. And yeah, I mean, it seems like every game he either draws a PK, gets an assist, or he scores a goal. Let's do it for the brand, man. If he pulls off a Pulisic hat trick in the final, I will do the next pod in the buff. You know, we'll be safe. We'll be safe. It'll be like you can only see camera like waist up, but and I shouldn't say next pod. I should say the pod after the final. But all right, that is my promise to you guys. I will do it. Yeah, I will do it naked, no hat, no nothing. Just birthday suit. Hopefully, I don't remember that I'm on camera and stand up or something. So yeah, I mean, I didn't even plan that out, dude. This just happened. I mean, I just came up with that on my own. I'm trying to get that capital J. So yeah, I'm stoked for that. We also have the Gold Cup. Did you hear the Gold Cup final is in Las Vegas?
Yeah.
Super stoked for that. We got the World Cup coming in, not the next World Cup in 2022, which is in Qatar, which is in the winter, which is going to be interesting, but it's 2026 North American World Cup. Got some games, some groups playing in Canada, got some in Mexico, some in the US. I mean, are we setting up for a World Cup final in Las Vegas? Did we already talk about this?
We did. We talked about going there.
Yes. I'm just, can you tell I'm stoked? I want to go to one in Mexico City too. So yeah, we got to keep sat stacking. That'll be after the next Bitcoin halving. So, I mean, shoot, we'll have our own suite, right?
We should. Yeah.
All right. You got anything else before we get out of here, my dude?
I got one little joke from a coworker. So baseball has switched over to 7-inning games for doubleheaders. Okay, and my coworker asked, "Do they have a 4th-inning stretch? Because you don't want people just sitting down for all 7 innings, right? You got to stretch for 9 innings. You got to have one for a 7-inning game. Do they have it?" There you go.
That's the joke that there's a. Did I miss the joke?
That's all it was. Not like a punchline joke, just kind of a commentary.
Yeah, the 5th-inning stretch. Yeah, it's weird. Why? Like, and I mean, hopefully I don't get canceled after this. But do we really need "God Save America" in the like? What the fuck? Like, I mean, I get it. I'm all about loving your country and being patriotic, but man, it's just so corny. I don't know if the Padres are the only ones that do it. I think they only do it on Sunday games, which is kind of the salute to service games because they wear the camo. But I mean, it just seems lame. It's low. Well, I guess it's high tea. That's my problem. It's a high tea move to do God Bless America, wearing camo on a sunny Sunday, and yeah, it's just too much for me because I'm getting alphaed. All right, glad we got to the bottom of that. Let's get out of here. Yeah, it's PF Chang's time.
Let's go.
Thanks for tuning in. YouTube, the Mixer channel. Maybe the next one will be naked, or two from now. Let us know what you thought of this week's episode. Rate and review. All right, guys. Let's get it. See ya.